I am Louis Armstrong. I spent my childhood singing on the street for spell change. I grew up in New Orleans, Louisiana. I started playing jazz in New Orleans, Louisiana. In 1930, I moved to Los Angeles and started a band. In America, I was a great civil rights pioneer. I toured across the country and Europe. I was one of the most recognized musicians during the Harlem Renaissance. I was unique, talented, and influential in music. I am Ezra Jack Keats. When I was young, I loved to draw even when I was a kid. I wanted to be an illustrator. When I was a child, I worked to help support my mom. When I was 8 years old, I was paid 25 cents to paint a sign for a local store. I was an illustrator for children's books. I drew backgrounds for Captain Marvel comics. I won the Caldecott Medal for the Snowy Day. I created 38 kids' books. I am Frederick Douglass. I was important in stopping slavery. I was a slave at one time. I taught myself how to read and write. I taught other slaves how to read too. I became an important abolitionist. I wrote an autobiography called Narrative of the Life of Frederick Douglass. I gave speeches about slavery and recruited black soldiers for the Civil War. I was one of the most important civil rights leaders in history. My name is Rosa Parks. My parents were James McCauley and Leona Edwards. I spent a lot of time at my grandparents' farm when I was a kid. When I grew up, I wanted everyone to be treated equally. I became a member of the Montgomery chapter of the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People, also called the NAACP. I was riding the bus when a white man got on the bus. I refused to give up my chair. I started the Montgomery bus boycott. It lasted 381 days. I helped white people and black people to be treated more equally. I am Barack Obama, and I grew up to be president. I had a good childhood. I was born on August 4th, 1961, in Honolulu, Hawaii. My mom's name was Ann, and my dad had the same name as me. I went to law school. I was the first African American president of the United States. I was 47 years old when I became president. I was the 44th president. I was one of the best presidents that the U.S. had. I was good at helping the environment, dealing with wars, and helping people. I am Malcolm X. My childhood was hard for me when I was young. My father died and my mom was in the hospital. My parents taught me to depend on myself and love God. I grew up to be an important leader for black people in 1950s. I began signing my name as Malcolm X. I was an assistant minister in Detroit.
After that, I started a church in Boston. I gave a good speech to help people. I proposed that African American return to African. I changed many people's lives. I am Philip Simmons. I had a rough childhood. I was born in South Carolina on June 9th, 1912. I lived with my grandparents until I was 8 years old. I was sent to live with my mom when I was 8 years old. At age 13, I worked as a metal worker. I became a full blacksmith when I was 18 years old. I created gates out of scrap iron. I created over 500 separate pieces to make a building finished. I constructed the gate for the Smithsonian Institute. I made pieces for many places around the world. I made my dream come true and I helped the world.
I am Beyonce Knowles. Even when I was a child, I knew I want to perform. I was born on September 4, 1981 in Houston, Texas. I attended St. Mary's School, Houston. I grew up to be a successful singer. I help kids victims of natural disaster and people who are needed in many ways. I am one of the best-selling music artists of all time. I am a good role model for African American girls.